beneath stacks of forgotten memories and moth-eaten dreams, I found it. Thin, brittle, tied with a fraying piece of twine. It wasn't just a letter. It was a time capsule, a bridge back to a single, scorching summer 50 years ago, a summer that changed everything. The secret it held was the key to a life I never lived, sealed away by one desperate, silent choice. This is the story of the letter I never sent, and the 5-decade silence that followed. The year was 1974. I was Eleanor, and the world was vibrant, but my corner of it was a quiet, coastal town. The letter was addressed to Robert, the son of the town's lighthouse keeper. Robert was everything I wasn't: restless, adventurous, with eyes that always scanned the horizon. He was leaving soon, bound for the Navy, ready to trade our small world for the vast, open sea. And I, destined for the local college, was hopelessly, silently in love with him. That summer was a bubble of denial. We spent endless days planning a future we both knew was impossible. Every shared cigarette, every promise whispered under the stars, felt weighted by the impending departure. The unspoken question was always there: what about us? The true enemy wasn't distance, it was destiny. Robert confessed a profound fear to me. The fear of trapping someone he loved in a life of endless waiting. A fate he'd seen destroy his own parents' marriage. "I won't do that to you, Elle," he said. "Not to my best friend." That word, friend, felt like a knife. He was protecting me, but in doing so, he was sacrificing the us I was fighting to keep alive. I went home that night and began to write. The letter was a raging wildfire of every suppressed emotion. It wasn't just, "I love you." It was a desperate, visceral plea: "I will wait. Don't leave without me." I finished it just before dawn, sealed it, and wrote his name. Robert. I carried that letter everywhere, a burning, fragile stone in my pocket. I knew if I gave it to him, he would have stayed. But standing on the docks on the morning he left, watching the fog roll in, I saw his eyes. They weren't just looking at me, they were looking past me, toward the horizon. His excitement was palpable, a pure, youthful hunger for the unknown. I realized that by sending the letter, I wouldn't be saving our love, I would be damaging his soul. I would have sentenced him to a life of compromise. So, as he held me in a long, final hug, I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I kept the letter. It remained hidden, pressed against my heart. He left, and the letter went from being a desperate plea to a 50-year regret, locked away. That was the choice I made. The silence was quickly filled. I married William, a kind and steady man. We built a good life. A house by the river, children, and a stable routine that smoothed out all the jagged edges of my youth. I was happy, genuinely happy, but every major life milestone was accompanied by a quiet, persistent echo: what if? I saw Robert only once after he left, 10 years later. He was on shore leave, visiting his aging father. We spoke briefly in the park. He was older, broader, and spoke of his wife, an architect in San Diego. He was happy. He was free. That sighting brought me peace, confirming I had made the right sacrifice. The letter remained untouched for decades. It was no longer a plea, it was a memorial to the fierce girl I used to be. But now, 50 years later, William is gone, and the house is quiet. Alone with the rhythm of the tides, I found the letter again. It wasn't just a memory, it was a responsibility to close the loop. I used the internet, found him, and wrote him a short email. We met in a small, crowded coffee shop, 50 years after our last goodbye. The conversation was easy. When the moment came, I placed the brittle, yellowed envelope on the table. "I wrote this 3 days before you left," I whispered. "And I never sent it because I couldn't destroy your dream." Robert looked